with my database called C1, and I'm connected as the user HR through this connection. I'm going to expand tables so you can see the different tables belonging to the user. A specific table that I'll be using in this query is the employees table. I've selected the employees table and the structure of the employees table has been displayed. Now, the columns of this table are employee ID, first name and last name and so on. One specific column that I'll be using frequently in this tutorial is the job ID column. I'm going to take you to the data tab so that you can have a look at the data in the job ID column. The job ID is a value that is assigned to each employee based on their job role. Here I have one employee whose job ID is AdPress. He is the president of the company. I have two employees whose job ID values are AdVP. They are both vice presidents. I have a number of employees whose job ID value is ITprog. They are all the IT programmers. Now, so what you can see in this output is you can have many employees holding the same job ID value. I'm now going to go to the SQL worksheet window where I'm going to write a select statement to retrieve the job ID values from the employees table. I've said select job ID from employees. I'm going to now execute the statement. The query result has now displayed. I'm going to scroll through the output to display the total number of rows that were fetched by this query. Now the query returned 107 rows for the total number of rows which are in the table. Observe in this output, some values are repeated multiple times, such as AdVP, finance accountant, and so on. That is because many employees may hold the same job. Now I'm going to write in the select statement the distinct keyword. The distinct keyword, when written, should always be written after the select keyword, immediately before the first column name. I'm going to execute this statement. This time the number of rows that were returned by this query are 19. Now let's see what the distinct clause actually did. If I observe the output, you will notice that the values of the job ID column are no longer being repeated. For instance, the ad_VP that was earlier appearing twice is now appearing only one time. In a similar way, the value FI_account that was appearing multiple times is again appearing only once. Now that is what the distinct clause does. It eliminates duplicate values in the output of a query. Now I'm going to change the statement slightly. I'm going to remove the distinct job ID and I'm going to introduce two columns, the department ID and the job ID columns from the employees table. I'm going to execute the statement. The query result has displayed. The total number of rows that were fetched by this query is 107 because there are 107 employees in the employees table. I've now come back to the beginning of the output where I'm looking at a specific department number 90. Now if you notice, there are three rows where department ID takes the value 90, and corresponding to these departments I have employees holding different job IDs. I have in department number 90 one employee whose job ID is AdPress. In department number 90 I have two employees whose job ID is AdVP. Okay, now what I'm going to now do is introduce the distinct keyword just like I did earlier immediately after the select keyword before the first column. I'm going to now execute the statement. The total number of rows that were fetched this time were 20. Now let's see what the distinct clause did when it appeared in a query where multiple columns were mentioned. Now if you observe earlier, with the distinct clause, when there was only one column, it eliminated the duplicate values in that column. Now when you have a distinct clause and you mention multiple columns, the distinct clause will operate on a combination of all the columns to create a distinct row. For instance, I have one row where the department ID value is 90 and the job ID is AdPress. Now there was only one row of this kind even earlier without the distinct keyword. Here I have a second row where the department ID is 90 and the job ID is AdVP. Earlier, without the distinct keyword, there were two rows where the department ID value was 90 and the job ID was add VP. Now that duplicate row has been eliminated in this output. So when you have the distinct keyword written along with multiple columns, the distinct keyword will operate on a combination of all the columns to create a distinct row. Now, in this tutorial, I showed you how to use